Leviticus chapter 14. The Lord spoke to Moses, "This shall be the regulation for the leper on the day of his purification. He shall be brought to the priest, and the priest shall go outside the camp and examine him. And if the person has been healed from leprosy, the priest shall order 2 live clean birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop to be brought for the one who is to be purified. The priest shall also give orders that one of the birds be slain on an earthen pot over running water. He shall take the live bird and also the cedar wood, the scarlet yarn, and the hyssop, and he will dip them together, including the live bird, in the blood of the bird that was slain over running water. Then he will sprinkle the one to be purified of the leprosy 7 times. After that he shall declare him clean, and he shall let the live bird go free over the open fields. The person to be purified must wash his clothes and shave off all his hair and bathe himself in water. Then he will be clean. After this he may enter the camp, but he must stay outside his tent for 7 days. On the 7th day he shall shave off all the hair on his head, chin, and eyebrows. He shall wash his clothes, bathe himself in water, and then he will be clean. On the 8th day he is to take 2 lambs and a yearling Eve lamb, all without defect, and 3/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil for a grain offering, and 1 log of oil. The priest who declares him clean shall present both the man to be purified and his offerings before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. The priest will then take the first lamb and present it as a sacrifice of reparation together with the log of oil. He shall wave them before the Lord. He shall slaughter the male lamb in the holy place where they slaughter the sin offering and the burnt offering. For the sacrifice of reparation, like the sin offering, belongs to the priest. It is most holy. The priest shall then take some of the blood of the sacrifice of reparation and apply it on the lobe of the right ear of the one to be purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. The priest shall take the log of oil and pour it on the palm of his own left hand. Then, dipping his right finger in it, he shall sprinkle it 7 times before the Lord. Then he is to take a little of the oil that remains in the palm of his hand and apply it on the lobe of the right ear of the man who is being purified, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot over the blood of the sacrifice of reparation. The rest of the oil which is in his palm he shall put on the head of the man who is being purified. In this way he shall perform over him the rite of atonement before the Lord. Then the priest shall offer the sacrifice for sin and perform the rite of atonement for uncleanness for the man who is being purified. After this he must slaughter the animal for the burnt offering and offer it with the grain offering on the altar. When the priest has performed the rite of atonement over him in this way, the man will be clean. If the leper is poor and cannot afford all this, he shall take only 1 lamb for the sacrifice of reparation to be offered with the gesture of offering in the rite of atonement. And for the grain offering he will bring only 1/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, a log of oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whichever is affordable, one to be used as a sacrifice for sin, and the other for the burnt offering. On the 8th day he must bring them to the priest at the entrance to the tent of meeting before the Lord for his purification. The priest is to take the lamb for the guilt offering and the log of oil and present them before the Lord with the gesture of offering. Then he must slaughter the lamb for the sacrifice of reparation, take some of its blood and apply it on the lobe of the right ear of the man who is being purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. He is to pour the oil into the palm of his left hand, and this oil he must sprinkle 7 times with the finger of his right hand before the Lord. He is to apply some of it on the lobe of the right ear of the man who is being purified, on the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot, in the place of the blood of the sacrifice of reparation. The remainder of the oil in the palm of his hand the priest must put on the head of the man who is being purified, performing the rite of atonement over him before the Lord. Of the 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whichever is affordable, he is to offer a sin offering with one, and with the other a burnt offering together with a grain offering. In this way, the priest will have performed before the Lord the rite of atonement over the person who is being purified. Such is the regulation concerning a person afflicted with leprosy who cannot afford the means for his purification. The Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron. He said, "When you come to the land of Canaan, which I am giving you as your possession, if I strike a house with mildew in the land you are to possess, the owner must come and report it to the priest. He must say, 'I have seen something like mildew in the house.' The priest is to give orders for the house to be emptied before he goes to examine the infection. Thus, nothing in the house will be declared unclean. Then the priest must go and examine the house, and if on examination he finds reddish or greenish depressions on the walls of the house that appear to be deeper than the surface of the wall, the priest is to go out of the house to the door and shut it up for 7 days. On the 7th day he shall go back again, and if on examination he finds that the infection has spread over the walls of the house, he shall give orders for the affected stones to be removed and thrown into some unclean place outside the town. Then he shall have all the inside of the house scraped, and the plaster that comes off must be emptied out into an unclean place outside the town. The stones must be replaced by new ones, and the house given a new coat of plaster. If the infection appears again and starts spreading after the stones have been removed and the house scraped and replastered, the priest is to come and examine it. If he finds that the infection has spread, it indicates that mildew is affecting the house. It is unclean. It must be pulled down, and the stones, the woodwork, and all the plaster to be taken to an unclean place outside the town. Anyone who enters the house while it is closed will be unclean until evening. Anyone who sleeps there must wash his clothing. Anyone who eats in that house must wash his clothing. But if the priest finds, when he does come to examine the infection, that it has not spread in the house since it was plastered, he is to declare the house clean, for the infection is cured. As a sacrifice for the sin of the house, he is to take 2 birds, cedar wood, scarlet yarn, and hyssop. He shall slaughter one of the birds in an earthenware pot over running water. Then he shall take the cedar wood, the hyssop, the scarlet yarn, and the live bird, and dip them in the blood of the bird that was slaughtered, and in the running water, and sprinkle the house 7 times. And after purifying the house with the blood of the bird, the running water, the live bird, the cedar wood, the hyssop, and the scarlet yarn, he shall set the live bird free to fly out of the town into the open country. When the rite of atonement has been performed over the house in this way, it will be clean. Such is the regulation for all cases of leprosy, scabs, mildew of clothing and houses, swellings, eruptions, and shiny spots. It defines the cases when things are unclean and when they are clean. Such is the regulation on leprosy.